Hello everyone, Tebrith here, and welcome to the 39th and final week of my journey to learning TF2, where this week I'm going to do something different than what's usually done here. I'm going to rank the top 9 classes on how much I enjoy playing them, and why. Also, I should mention that there isn't a bad class in the list. I enjoy playing all of them, so just because one of your favorite classes are low on the list does not mean I believe it's bad. I can promise you it's good, I just prefer the other classes over it. Also, the list only takes into consideration how much I enjoy playing the class. It does not take into consideration how I feel playing against the classes, or how effective I believe the classes actually are. Also, there will be 2 slots per rank. This is because I'm going over how I feel about those classes in both casual and man vs. machine, also known as the 2 game modes I've been playing in throughout this entire series, since I have yet to play any competitive matches and I'd rather not go into alternative game modes. So when I say casual, I'm talking the core game modes. Anyway, with all the disclaimers out of the way, let's get into the list, shall we?
Is anybody even paying attention to me?
I already know I'm not going to be making many friends with this choice, but at the bottom of the casual list is Scout. And the main reason for that is because more often than not, I lack the energy to keep up with his gameplay. Playing as Scout requires a certain amount of focus, commitment, and the energy to turn on a dime at a moment's notice. Constantly moving, flanking, ambushing, and when you get into a gunfight, dodging, flicking, and fleeing. It's exhausting. Regardless, he's still a lot of fun to play. Taking alternative routes to catch the enemy off guard, being able to capture objectives twice as fast, all while still being a solid head-to-head combat class if caught out. I can see why there's a lot of people who main Scout. Even I find myself gravitating towards him in short bursts whenever I need a specific objective or flank pushed. And if I was more of the hyper sort of gamer, I'm sure he'd be a lot higher on this list.
This is not a robot tea party, spark bags! This is robot war!
This is probably going to be a bit more understandable to most folks. Now, Soldier is by no means a bad class. The only problem I have with him in Man vs. Machine is that he's what I call a bit too well-rounded. While he can do many things, there isn't a single thing he can do that other classes can't do better. So, unless you know what you're doing and actively try to avoid stepping on the toes of your teammates, I find that it's typically better to select a class with a more defined role, with the only exception being when your team has a significant number of gaps that need to be filled. Then going Soldier is probably the best move. His overall mobility, high health pool, and damage potential definitely makes him a force to be reckoned with on the front lines. The best method I've found to use him is as a battle line reinforcement. You find the weakest link in your fortifications and temporarily reinforce that position till your teammates recover from whatever happened, then move on to the next weakest link.
Did you forget about me?
Alright, time for me to come clean. Spy burns me out. He's a lot of fun, sure, but with how difficult he is to play, combined with how often he dies, as well as the janky mechanics that he relies on, I do believe Spy Month was the month where I raged and had to walk away from the computer the most often. Only reason he's higher up on the list than Scout is due to the fact that when things go your way, he becomes really fun to play. Easily some of the highest highs I've had in the game was while playing Spy. So again, while he's a class I only occasionally play whenever the opportunity to do so arises, in a way, isn't that just the way Spy is meant to be? He's not meant to constantly be on the battlefield, he's meant to occasionally show up whenever a major obstacle to the team shows up, and then vanish when the problem is solved, or created, depending on your perspective. Ultimately, while he does generate the highest of highs, the fact that he's best played sparingly, combined with the fact that he also provides the lowest of lows, is why he's so low on this list.
I'm back, baby!
Spoiler warning, a lot of my grievances with Man vs. Machine Scouts are the same as Casual Scout, so I'm only gonna briefly stay on this slot. Anyway, once again, his playstyle is a bit too fast-paced for me. However, he does beat out Soldier in this game mode due to the fact that while yes, Scout is also versatile, he's more of a fixer than a band-aid reinforcement. There's a lot of cash that need to be grabbed. Scout is well equipped to grab it with a high survivability rate. There are a horde of bots that'll most likely outspam your teammates. Mad Milk can provide the assistance needed to help your team live long enough to take care of your opposition. Spy and/or sniper bots on the field. While your teammates are focused on the main threat, your high damage single target attacks are ideal for countering these robotic picks. Effectively, instead of being a part of the main combat, you're the answer to when a problem occurs and fixes it.
This is getting too easy, mate.
I can't aim. That's about the long and short of it. While I've definitely gotten a lot better and have learned various aiming styles to use depending on the circumstances, I fear it'll be a while yet before I can consistently land headshots. For now though, the body shot rifles are my favorite weapons to use, for at least I'll be able to contribute to the team somewhat with them. Moving on to the positives, Sniper is the ideal class to play when I effectively just want to relax. Sit in the back and click on the enemy gamers. Keeping an ear out for spies and being aware on my surroundings are key to Sniper, and definitely things I still need to get better at. But at the end of the day, out of all the 9 classes, he's the most relaxing to play, and an effective stress reliever whenever I notice that I'm starting to get tilted while playing someone else.
Gentlemen, I'm back.
Spy, in my opinion, is quite similar to Scout in Man vs. Machine. He's a money-collecting giant killer who can slow down enemy waves with the power of his sapper. And while he may lack a method of healing his teammates, he also tends to have a bit more survivability to his playstyle with the power of the Dead Ringer. Now, if given the choice of teammates, assuming they knew what they were doing, I would prefer a Scout over a Spy. However, this is a list ordered by how much I enjoy the classes, and with Spy I can actually breathe while playing as him. Thinking about my next move and can effectively play at my own pace for the most part, something Scout does not afford. Outside of that, they both effectively hold the same role. So if you ask me, if you have Scout, there's no need for a Spy and vice versa.
I promise you, pain without end.
Heavy is a load of fun. Planting yourself on the point or holding a choke point behind cover, he's an absolute monster in head-to-head combat. I love being able to effectively act as an anchor for the team to rally around and be the deciding factor in team pushes. As the Heavy, you are basically the one that decides where the backline starts and ends, punishing any overly aggressive plays the enemy may make on your squishier backline buddies. Downside to Heavy though is how easily countered he gets, for he is big, slow, and unreliable at long distance, meaning you can't hold a lot of ground, requiring you to consider your positioning very carefully. Not to mention that both Sniper and Spy exist who do not care about your high health pool, and due to the fact that you are big and slow, effectively making you an easy target most of the time, he doesn't really have an answer for Sniper's long range, and with the exception of the Tomislav, his miniguns generate a lot of noise, making spies very difficult to hear coming. I wish I had money guns.
There can be only one!
Demoman is an interesting pick. On the one hand, he's extremely useful with his explosions. On the other hand, he can get swarmed rather easily, meaning you're rather reliant on the positioning of your teammates, sticking with them rather than roaming around or setting up on your own. On the plus side, when you do get yourself in a good position, backed up by your team, you can really wreck house. Easily become one of the, if not the, bot killer on your team, setting up traps and piping stragglers on their approach. Kaboom.
I'll rest when I'm dead.
Hello again, Demoman. Everything I said about MVM Demoman is the opposite about how I feel about casual Demoman. For in casual, Demoman is extremely strong on his own. While equally being as strong with the team, he's basically an all-around powerhouse. The other major plus to him in casual is the Demo Knight subclass. Being able to go from a power class to a high health pick class is loads of fun. Roaming the flanks and dealing with those pesky light classes that have been annoying you previously is an extremely cathartic feeling.
Bloody hell!
Once again, everything I mentioned about Sniper and Casual can be said again here in MVM. Stay aware of your surroundings, stick to the back, and relax as you deal with the biggest threats to your team. With the added bonus being the fact that the bots don't learn how to counter you. Unlike players where almost everyone seems to know how to deal with snipers and act erratic, bots are predictable, allowing you to really enjoy yourself. Perhaps the biggest downside to Man vs. Machine Sniper is how niche your role really is. You're the Giant Slayer, and that's about it. You pick off the big guys. Sure, the explosive shot upgrade allows you to have more viability when dealing with the hordes of smaller bots, but it doesn't really change the fact that you're just a cozy camper sitting in the back taking pot shots at the behemoths most of the time. Which isn't a bad thing. Like I said, Sniper is a relaxing class, and sometimes you don't need to get complicated in order to get good.
You can always tell a Texan, but you can't tell him much.
Engineer. I'm gonna be honest, when I was comparing classes to place where they'd be, I was, and still am, rather shocked this guy made it so high. For he's easily one of the most stressful classes in the game, second only to Spy and maybe Medic. But during considerations, I thought about it for a while and came to the realization that, while yes, he is stressful to play, he's also very rewarding. Ultimately, and I'm going to be 100% honest here, I am not a fan of the Combat Engineer subclass. I very much rely on my buildings while playing as him. Sure, using the shotgun and pistol combo is a lot of fun, and while I don't avoid combat with him, it's just not my highest priority. But yeah, placing buildings in advantageous positions to support the team and keeping them maintained while watching for spies, when done right, always puts a smile on my face while playing.
It's just you and me, robots!
Medic. 2 guesses on what he's good at. Anyway, grabbing the Mad Milk syringes for support and using the arsenal to heal your team is really all it boils down to. Personally, I like to use the Vaccinator. Match up the damage resistance to the main damage type that your teammate is currently dealing with, and basically just keep your team alive. Unlike the casual medic, Man vs. Machine medic is rather relaxing for the most part. Similar to Sniper, with the biggest downside being you're not a damage dealer, meaning you are solely relying on your team to take care of the bots for you, all while you keep their health topped up and revive them in a prompt fashion.
Hello again!
Casual Soldier is a very different experience than MVM Soldier, where MVM Soldier's main drawback was how he was overly well-rounded. In Casual, that's actually a good thing. Having an answer to anything that may come your direction and not being subpar in this regard makes playing Soldier so entertaining. Personally, I like to use the shotgun a lot. Shotgun Soldier is my go-to. That being said, I don't neglect the rocket launcher. Using it to spam choke points as well as a method for crowd control is very handy. I also like Hybrid Trollger. Using the airstrike to bombard enemies below you on more open environments is an indescribable feeling. And while I'm still not good enough to reliably hit market gardens, I'm still practicing and slowly getting better. Really, the only thing I don't use Soldier are the various banners. I do still try to use them from time to time, but they aren't really my thing. Oh boy, Pyro. the class that started this series and is still one of my favorite classes to play in general, to the point where up until I made this top 9 list and actually had to sit down and think and go over how each class compares to each other, for almost the entire year, I believed myself to be a Pyro main, but we'll get into that later. As for how I like Pyro in the man vs. machine game mode in particular, I have 2 words: Gas Passer. While it is indeed the worst weapon in the game for Pyro, in MVM, it's almost overpowered. Pretty much a horde delete tool. Just throw, then a single puff of flame later, that horde of robo-scouts that just jumped down that cliff is now instantly gone. And here we are, still talking about our favorite enigmatic arsonist. My 2 favorite playstyles with this guy is to use the Flog to ambush stragglers till my oomph meter is full, then unleash hell on the objective, while the second playstyle I enjoy is the Pyro, hanging around my friendly Engie nest, spy checking, and basically acting as my building buddy's bodyguard. Honestly, as fun as Pyro is, he's not without his drawbacks. Mainly, he doesn't have a lot of staying power, due to the fact that he's primarily relying on sustained damage. If I don't get a drop on the enemy or have some sort of backup, you are not going to be winning any head-to-head fights with this guy, which is why he's here at number 2.
Guess it's up to me now.
Yeah, I know. It's no surprise that Engineer is extremely high on the list in the man vs. machine game mode, since he's almost required, especially at the higher difficulties. Not to mention his already fun gameplay loop. Just having the sentry go ham on the passing hordes while your more supportive buildings work overtime for your team, it sure does feel nice to be the MVP. In fact, I probably should explain again why Engineer is only number 2 instead of number 1. This list is purely on how much I enjoy playing the classes, not on how good they are. And while Engineer is a lot of fun, there is simply one class that I enjoy playing as more in MVM. And I'm sure those who have been keeping track has already figured out what my number 1s are purely by process of elimination.
I'm back!
Yeah, I'm a medic main. I guess old habits die hard. He's just simply my comfort class. Almost no one ever plays him, meaning he's practically always available. There are several ways to go about playing as him, meaning there's variety in gameplay. People love it when you play as him, so you're awfully loved, especially if you manage to keep yourself alive for prolonged periods of time. I don't really know how else to explain it other than medic is my favorite. Sure, you're responsible for a lot, but that's all part of the fun. It's actively engaging without being overwhelming like the scout. It doesn't take much to basically make someone's round, and you are rewarded with Ubers should you manage to be playing well.
Ha 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 ha! Heavy is back, babies!
I'm sure this spot is going to be a surprise to some of you, but hear me out. Heavy's minigun is basically a level 2 sentry, except you can upgrade it in various ways, and while it may not be an auto-fire building, it's far more mobile, and combined with the intelligence of a player, can reposition itself at will. Also, the sentry busters won't really care about you either. Basically, you're a mobile sentry with more versatility and survivability, shredding hordes of bots, and if you're paired with an engineer on your team, you can sit right next to their dispenser and effectively have infinite ammo, allowing you to infinitely rain bullets on the opposition. And with the Stake and Warrior Spirit combo, you still have an answer for when it's time to deal with any tanks that may show up. Assuming there's no other hordes to deal with at the time, that is. And that's about it. This past year has been amazing, and this series has garnered far more attention than I thought it would. I met some cool folks through the TF2 community as well as through this series, and I'm so glad I stuck with this. And while starting 2026, I'll be branching out to other games for a while, Team Fortress 2 will always have a special place in my heart. And with all that said, what are all your favorite classes to play as? Let me know down below, as I close off this video by wishing you all a wonderful remainder of your day.